What's up? This is Gigi Dolan, aka Priscilla Kelly, and I'd like to give a shout out to Diving Cutter Wrestling Podcast on YouTube. I just want to say thank you to Mark, Johnny, Chuck Rodriguez, DJF, NinjaPanda, Macho Taco, and Joopy for following my career and for all your support. I'd also like to mention that episode 3 is my favorite. But thank you guys so much, and hope you're having a good week.
It's such good shit!
Hey, Mark Rodriguez here. You're watching another episode of Diving Cutter Podcast, and with me is...
Johnny Rodriguez. Thanks for the invite, bro. It's nice to be here. It's always cool chatting with you guys, and this pay-per-view, I gotta tell you, it was super duper awesome. It really was a double or nothing.
NinjaPanda 1980, artist for Street Fighter Cross AEW on Instagram. It's fun hanging out with you guys. Let's get this party started, man.
I guess that's my cue. Rikki Roxx here on the Diving Cutter Podcast, back again after a short hiatus. Happy to be back. Always happy to be here. And yeah, it looks like we got a lot to talk about for sure.
Well, how do you follow Rikki Roxx? That's my biggest issue. Everyone, this is the real deal. DJF, let me tell you something. If you weren't all elite before last Sunday, you gotta be now. Great show. Can't wait to talk about it with you guys. See how we all did with our pick'ems. And just hell of a week for all elite wrestling. I'll tell you that right now. I can't believe where things have gone in the last week.
Oh, wait a second. Wait, is that what is this podcast? What are we discussing today?
Well, we're mostly talking about AEW, Double or Nothing, the actual review, and of course we'll compare it with our last episode's predictions.
Holy shit, I thought we were talking about that thing on Discovery with Bindi Irwin having the baby.
Oh my goodness.
See, you know what I want to see? I want to see the video where they made the baby.
I kind of sort of don't. Oh my
I'm sure
goodness.
I'll catch up.
Oh goodness. So anyways, guys, before we go into AEW, and yeah, I think we should probably mention a little bit about the next episode of Dynamite that happened after the event, because that's kind of cool too. Before we get into all of that, just a bit of random wrestling news here that also hit us this week, and it's kind of like, what the fuck is on Vince McMahon's mind? But they did a lot of surprising firings or releases or, better endeavoring of several superstars. And I'm sure some of you guys got like the full list of names, but for me, the biggest surprises were Ruby Riott and Aleister Black, but especially Braun Strowman. What the fuck?
Yeah, I did a little bit of research on that. Oh, sorry to cut you off, man.
No, you definitely probably have more to say than I do, so.
I did a little research on the Braun Strowman deal, and the main reason why they took him down was because he had a contract where he was making $1.2 million a year. Now, they got a new wrestler, I forget the guy's name, but, he's bigger, like almost 7 feet tall, and he's somebody they can more or less mold into what they want. So it was basically they canned him for a cheaper product. And when I tell you this guy's wrestling is horrible, he makes the Great Khali look like Lou Thesz, all right? Like, the dude's just, he's awful. But I guess that's Vince McMahon's thinking, so there we go again.
Hey, you don't need wrestling skill when you have a person of that size, of that stature, of that musculature. You see, this is why I know wrestling and you don't, okay? I know what's good shit. You guys just watch it. You watch it every Monday, every Friday, no matter what I say. You guys love it.
To be honest, I'm not fully aware about what's really going on nowadays with WWE because, I'm with the cool kids now watching the AEW. But Vince McMahon really reminds me of those really, really shitty bosses that you damn well know they're hiring people that have less talent just so that they could pay cheaper wages and, somebody that's brand new to the company, it's going to be easier to, like you said, like to mold them the way they want it to be molded. Like they're not going to be the kind of person that's going to, like complain, like, hey, I don't want to be treated this way, etc., etc. So, yeah, I mean,
well, there's a lot to unpack with the Braun Strowman thing. There's a lot to go over. Now, it's easy to kind of just like put all the heat on Vince, and I am no fucking fan of Vince. I've been very vocal about that. But in the business itself, there is a certain mentality that, you could train somebody to wrestle. They might be shit, but if they have a certain look, they can train them. I mean, that's kind of how Braun came up in the first place. Like, he didn't work the indies, really. He didn't, he was a creation. They saw this guy with his look, and they said, wow, we'll give him a name, we'll give him a gimmick, and we'll strap the rocket on him. The flip side of that kind of being, though, there is a lot of argument from some people that he might have already hit his upside a couple of years ago. I mean, that's debatable. I checked out on that dude when they did that tag team title thing at WrestleMania a couple years ago. I completely checked out on.
Oh, with the kid?
When they did that. Yeah, I'm like, this dude's done. I called it right there. I was like, he's never, and he did get the belt after that, but I called it. I says, this dude is never going to be like a tippy top guy, like they say. He's never going to be taken immensely serious, because when you do shit like that, it's like spilling red wine on a white dress. You can maybe clean it up, but you'll never get that stain out completely, and it's just the way it is. So I kind of I don't necessarily. I'm kind of neutral on the dude. I was never a fan, but I was never a hater. Just a big dude who does big dude shit, and you need somebody like that in the business. But I was never in love with him like some guys were, and I'm looking at it objectively, and I'm thinking, yeah, he may have already hit his ceiling, and if they're paying that much money, and they have somebody waiting in the wings who's even bigger, and maybe who sucks, but they can maybe train, I could sort of understand the logic behind the decision, even though I understand why a lot of people would think it was fucking lunacy. But I mean, at the end of the day, it is business. He'll be fine, I'm sure.
Well, another thing.
What else could be said?
Well, another thing is that Strowman kind of burned a lot of bridges, because back when the pandemic first started and a lot of the indie organizations shut down because they had no choice, which of course you kind of know that personally too, that the only ones that were still thriving were just AEW and WWE. And I mean, I'm not 100% sure about Ring of Honor and Impact, but only like the bigger ones were still going while all the other indies were shut down. And I forgot Ring
of Honor, from some of the guys I know over there, I got to give credit. I'm not there, but I have a lot of friends there. And from what I heard, they were doing a real good job taking care of guys. They were pretty much doing their tapings like they do a couple weeks of TV in one shot. And they were paying guys the whole time, even when they were at home. So, because I was worried about a couple of my buddies because they got kids and stuff like that. And these are guys I known for almost 15 years, like Rhett, and was like, dude, how are you doing? And he's like, oh, they're taking real good care of us. So just to interject on that, from what I've heard from guys over there, Ring of Honor was doing the best they could, and that's admirable. So I got to tip my hat to those guys.
Okay, but anyways, during that particular time period where people were really feeling it and all that, Strowman posted, like, I forgot what because it's been so long ago, the exact tweet. But it was kind of sort of the equivalent of like, haha, sucks for you, or, kind of sucks for you because you're in the indies, but I'm here, and with the big guys, I'm with WWE, I'll always have a job, I'll always have that level of security. It was some kind of comment that was kind of sort of rubbing it in their faces that like he's...
A couple of the guys were setting up like GoFundMe's and this and that for various reasons. And he jumped in with, oh, great, more come pay my bills stuff. Look, if you can't pay your bills, get a different career. That was the meat of it. There was a little bit more here and there. But
yeah.
I'm a bootstrapper myself, but at the same time, it was pretty fucking tone deaf. And at the same time, like I said, I was never a huge fan of the dude either way. Like, I'm not a hater, but I'm like, all right. But I'm reading that, and I was like, dude, you were manufactured as shit. You never worked the indies. Like, you never had to, like, sleep in a fucking hotel room with 5 other dudes or pile 7 in a car. Like, if you ain't done that shit, shut the fuck up with your 7-figure contract. You know, it's like good for you, but at the same time, just, you know, read the
Can I
room.
add something here too? You know, honestly, I don't know who Grossman is, you know, but just from what you guys are describing, I mean, I think it is very foolish of him to actually think of all places. I mean, wrestling's like that for the most part, but especially WWE with all the, let's just say, people not working there anymore or getting replaced or whatever. There's no way in hell WWE is the most, like, secure job in the world. I mean, unless you're like, I don't know, like the Hulk Hogan or something like that, like back in the day. Yeah, it's not really. I mean, I don't think no wrestling company really is an actual like there's really no job security unless you're a super duper huge,
there's none.
Mega
There's
star
no
or
fucking
something
job
like
security.
Yeah, so that's the
zero fucking job security in professional wrestling.
so that's the thing.
So it's
there,
very silly of him to be like, oh, I got the, you know, I'm good. I'm in the WWE. I'm getting paid this much, and like, no, dude. You know, like most jobs, you know.
Yeah, but that's what we're trying to say, that he said that, and now he's the one that got cut loose. That's what we're trying to say. And everyone's kind of rubbing it back in his face now, or having posts saying karma and stuff like that.
So he was better off just like, okay, I'm enjoying the ride. I'm going to enjoy the WWE while it lasts. I'll enjoy the paycheck I'm getting at the time period while I'm there. But he should have never have commented at all. And just enjoy the ride while he was there.
It's like they say, it's better to stay silent and be thought a fool than open your mouth and remove all doubt. That's, you know, that's what happened in that case.
It's like, stay humble. Don't act cocky about it. Like, don't be all like, yeah, I made it. I'm in the WWE.
You see a lot of this from those guys, though. I hate to, you know, belabor the point, but I've said this before, and I'm sure I'll say it again. You see it a lot with those people who come up through that system. They come up and they've always had somebody patting them on the butt the whole step of the way. I mean, that's why I understand why they work the way they do, but the reason why guys do work the indies and why a lot of those guys have a totally different mentality is if you have never struggled, you don't know what it's fucking like to fucking work, you know, a fucking match and get busted open and fucking, you know, get paid with a hot dog and a handshake. If you don't fucking know what that's like, you tend to have this really arrogant way about you, and maybe you don't even mean to. People used to say this about Luger back in the 80s. They would say Lex the guy was cool, but Luger would bury himself because he was manufactured and he wasn't like trying to say things that would piss people off or be like, dude, you're a dick. But he would constantly fucking bury himself. And he just didn't know any better because he didn't have to work his way up. He came in as a top guy and he stayed a top guy. And when that's the way you're brought up, you kind of can't help it.
Yeah. So on the other people, I know Lana got let go. I know Lana wasn't that much of a star, but I know that Vince was trying to push her, so I'm surprised she was let go. Ruby Riott.
You call that a push?
Yeah, I know, but they were trying to. But Ruby Riott, they kept saying she was calling herself the future of the women's division or something. So I guess they were eventually going to push her. That never happened. Aleister Black was a badass, and they just never did nothing with him. And I forgot, there were at least 3 or so other names, but those are the guys who stand out. Does anyone else know who are the other guys?
Santana Garrett was one of them. She was actually supposed to make her debut on that following SmackDown, so that was the ironic part.
She got let go before her debut?
Yeah, days before her debut on SmackDown, they let her go. I was shocked to hear that.
Wow.
And Buddy Murphy. Buddy Murphy's the other one, the other big name that came up.
That's right.
Yeah, and the word on Aleister Black is the reason why they let him go was, and this was the quote that I heard, it was because Vince McMahon didn't understand his wrestling. Yeah, I was just like, what? That makes no damn sense, but whatever.
Aleister's not going to be your rest hold guy. He's going to be a guy who's out there and he's going to have a methodic, plotted out match. He's going to make sure he keeps the fans interested. He puts on a clinic. And that's not what Vince wants. Vince is still of the 70s and 80s mindset, and he doesn't mind rest holds and chin locks and tie-ups and just wasting time. Like, he's okay with that if you got the look. And that's why a guy like Roman is where he's at. He's got a good look to him, but no one's ever going to claim Roman is the best wrestler or that Roman is better than Aleister Black. Aleister just has a different style. He's got that kickboxing, MMA style to him that he throws into his matches along with his wrestling. But to Vince, that just doesn't translate in what he's looking for. So with that and his character, Vince didn't see dollar signs in it, which is stupid because the fans absolutely love Aleister Black. That was a given in NXT, and when he got called up, you could see it on Raw for weeks and into the months that he was actually on TV. And then suddenly it just fizzled out. And I've always wondered is if it's something of Vince McMahon creating a character versus Triple H creating a character. Because you get Vince creating these guys and he's all for it, but guys that Triple H is helping develop and mold down in NXT and then he brings them up to the roster, it's like Vince just craps on them and just gets bored with them within like months. And that's what we end up seeing people like, you know, Ruby Riott, Buddy Murphy, Aleister Black. These guys are getting released when they never really had a great shot to get over and have a chance. And the pandemic did them no favors in the end, too. So it's like, I've always wondered if Vince has this mentality of him versus NXT stars, where he's just opposed to them as a whole, because he didn't create them. Triple H and the NXT factory did.
You know, that does make sense. That's a good point.
Yeah, so you practically become a meme at this point that, like, for most of the NXT roster, it's like the last thing you want right now is to get called up.
Yep.
That's like, your promotion is basically like the kiss of death.
Absolutely.
Oh, man. So with that, guys, we're going to start off with our comparison here. Before we get into it real quick, though, I just want to real quick add in a minor factoid that NinjaPanda brought up to me. I had no idea. This just came out of nowhere. Well, yeah, we got Virtual Fighter 5 that was recently re-released for PlayStation 4. I'm sure the PS5 as well, and whatever other console. But I was not aware that the live-action mocap person they used for the capturing for the animation of the fighting moves for Vanessa Lewis, I was unaware it was Asuka herself doing that.
Yeah, I was actually checking that out. Like I said, I went on her Twitter, and somebody raised the comment on it, and she said, "Yeah, I did that in multiple characters in the Virtual Fighter game, but mainly Vanessa."
That is surprising. But yeah, I do like it though, like how, like, I don't know, I guess in Japan when they do that, when they do the I guess the flying butt attack, I mean, do they consider it a flying butt attack? Because I'm thinking in WWE they only call it like the hip attack because, you know, God forbid we're acknowledging the fact that a woman is using her butt as a weapon.
I just hate that move. I didn't like it when Goldust used to do it. I don't like it with anybody.
I thought that wasn't that like the tag team finisher between you and the Jersey Kid? Like you would do you would both fly at the opponent at the same time?
No. We used to put guys away when he would do the stalling vertical suplex like Bulldog, and he would do a squat with the guy up on his shoulder, and then while he was holding him, I would come down with the crossbody and we'd wreck the guy. It was called the power cord, and it was fucking awesome. So, know your history. we also had Ride the Lightning, where he'd hoist him up for the belly to back, and I'd cut him. I'd hit him with the cutter on the way down.
There we go.
Ride the Lightning. So that was the other one. We are still undefeated in the Carolinas to this day, just to reiterate that.
Oh, man. All right, so let's get started with the pay-per-view real quick. And again, we're going to compare with what we said the last time and, you know, compare with who won now, just for S&Gs. So, let me actually close this one down here real quick. And let me see, because we did have one of these extra little buy-in matches that was announced last minute, like they usually do. So, of course, we had no way of knowing, no way of guessing, no way of voting, because, yeah, this just came out of nowhere. But anyways, we had the first match here was the grand return of Riho. We haven't seen her in a good while. Challenging Serena Deeb for the NWA World Championship. And what can I say? It's a pretty good match. It was pretty fast-paced. It was just, you know, I guess the novelty of seeing Riho again. And I did like, of course, the crowds are back. It was like, middle of the day. It was outdoors, the sunlight. It was pretty awesome. And to their credit, I mean, the match made me believe. Like, I came in watching this thing, like, obviously Serena's gonna win, whatever. But like, they came close, man. They came close at least twice to making me think that Rio's gonna take it. But in the end, Serena won the match. Any quick thoughts on that, guys?
It's not often that two women kick off a show, especially on a pre-show, and for a belt that's not even part of that company's title lineup history. So I think those two killed it. They got the crowd going. A great way to start off the show. Serena looks like a beast, and I had actually made a comment a couple of weeks ago to a buddy of mine. We were watching another Serena Deeb match where she was working with a much smaller competitor. She works so well with the other female talent that are smaller than her. She just has this knack of getting the smaller talent over and making it look like she's definitely on the ropes and she's going to lose. And then she comes back and she hits them like the Serenity Lock. So kudos to Serena, kudos to Rio. Awesome match, great way to start the pay-per-view, and I'd love to see more of Serena as time goes on, and obviously would love to see more Rio. I like something about her. There's just something that jumps out at me. So, but awesome match.
All I can really say is I think that it's a good use of the whole working relationship. It kind of throws back to the days when there was more cooperation within, I don't want to say necessarily the smaller companies, but you know what I mean. And, you used to see things like that a lot more often. And, if there's going to be these working relationships, then I think that's a great way to take it. You don't want to see, like your no-name guys from two different companies square off. You want to see, like, these high-caliber bouts. So I think that's a good use of resources with that.
Oh, yeah, it was definitely a good match. Very high-paced. There was a lot of back and forth. Like you said, Serena actually, she actually did really, really well with Riho. Like, that was a fantastic, very fluid match. So yeah, I definitely enjoyed it.
Okay, so what I think about the match, I think it was a really good way to start the event. The match was pretty awesome. It was pretty intense. They're both very talented wrestlers, and they're both talented to the point where it's kind of hard to predict who's going to actually win, because they're both just as strong or just as agile, I would say. So it's kind of like there's moments where you think that, okay, Riho got it, it's going to win the match. And then there's times where Serena, I think she came close to winning the match, and then Riho, and then Serena, and it's like it kept going back and forth. And then, of course, at the end, Serena did win the match. But it's just like, it's like the kind of match where either one of them could have easily have won the match, because they both just have that kind of caliber in them.
Okay, so now we're going to start off with the first one that we did have, like, our, our predictions and all that to see if we won it or not. So first match we had, actually surprised it was the starter, but yeah, it's Hangman Adam Page fighting against the Machine Brian Cage, which is, of course, a member of Team Taz. And, I mean, it's been a while. I remember the match was pretty good. I remember that, we got to see a lot of Cage just overpowering him, just destroying him, just like the size and power difference, and how sometimes some of the Hangman's moves won't work the same because this is like, you're doing this in a much bigger dude, so it's not going to work the same way it usually does and stuff like that. I'm not sure if anyone has a better memory that can fill in some spots, but the part I remember is mostly the finish, because near the end, when of course Hangman was getting, the whole heroic second win, and now he's on top and all that kind of stuff, other members of Team Taz came in and wanted to help Brian Cage cheat, but Brian was like, get the fuck out of here, I don't need your help, I don't need y'all's help, I can do this on my own and everything. And Taz himself is like, the fuck are you doing? The hell are you doing? Just do it, man, whatever. And that's when Hangman Page took the shot to take him down. I forgot if it was the Deadeye, because that's a big dude to pick up doing that. I think he just took him out with the buckshot lariat. But anyways, Hangman won, and he did it. He took him down. A big help was, of course, all the distraction and everything. And then Taz got fucking livid because like they were offering help and he was turning it down, and the Team Taz guys all got in each other's spaces and everything. And honestly speaking, I was expecting a follow up to that. I didn't really see a follow up to that in the next episode of Dynamite. I was kind of waiting to see like what was going to happen after that. But yeah, it was a big thing, and I'll leave it up to you guys. Anyone else that has a better recollection of any major spots or thoughts on the match? But that part surprised me. That part got me curious about the next episode of Dynamite. But I guess they didn't really like follow up on that.
Well, yeah, it was kind of like what we were saying before. Like Brian Cage, it's time for him to get into his own little spotlight there, and not end up with just being some sort of lackey character. So yeah, watching him and seeing him get ticked off when the rest of the guys showed up, yeah, we already kind of called that was gonna happen. But like you said, there was nothing on Impact the next night, which was a little off. But yeah, I see that confrontation kind of escalating a bit more, and Brian Cage ended up becoming his own man on this one by the end of it.
I thought the two had a really great match. Great start to the card. Adam Page is just one of those guys where you can stick him anywhere on the card. He's going to have the crowd in the palm of his hand, and he's just a really good talent. And I know this comparison's been made a lot, and the first time I ever saw him, this was the first thing that came to mind, but I get severe Barry Windham vibes from him in the best way possible. It's actually a compliment to him. So if this is the track for him to go back towards the main event, Brian Cage is a hell of a talent to go over in order for that to start. I really felt like Cage needed a win, but either one could have won this match, and I would have been okay with it. I have no qualms with it. Great match. The only thing that really stood out to me was the super F5 off the top rope and that not ending it. I think they should have maybe saved that for like right at the very end of the match, not throwing it towards the middle, because that's kind of one of those finishers where it should have been done and over with, or if you're going to go for the false finish, you got to put that at the right spot, and I think putting it in the middle of the match just wasn't good planning on their part. But those two just beat the crap out of each other, and I could watch those two do battle every week if they wanted to.
That seems to be a problem with a lot of stuff in AEW is sometimes you'll have a good match going on, and then at some point in the middle of it, they'll do some cool shit just to do some cool shit, but it won't be impactful towards the finish, and that just kind of like... It kind of goes back to like the first time actually that me and Kid did that power chord finish. We didn't even do it as the finish. We did it like 2/3 of the way through the match, and then when we got to the back, it was the first time we did it, and we were all proud of ourselves, and one of the guys was like, yeah, that's too cool of a move to do it where you did it. Don't do that again. If you're going to do that, make that the finish, because otherwise everything you do after that makes no sense. So they were right, and you're right insofar as that goes. But, these things happen, it is what it is. Still, altogether, good work, good piece of business. I do think it feels a little weird having Cage kind of pivot to Hangman after doing the whole thing with Sting. That feels a little weird, but I think the bigger story is really going to be him breaking away from Team Taz, and I think we're going to see that start to play out a little bit more over the next few weeks. With a guy that looks like that, there's only so much they can do as part of a stable anyway. I mean, just look at the guy. Like, what does he need a bunch of other guys around for? Like, he's the deal, right? So I think that's going to be the big story to come out of it the next few weeks. Is like nobody's going to remember he lost this match. It's going to be more about the friction with him and Team Taz, and what develops from that is going to be ultimately his story coming out of the pay-per-view.
Okay, so when I think about this match, I mean, honestly, by this point, I pretty much forgot the whole match. Like, I don't really have a memory what in that match. But, I do know that both of these wrestlers are very talented, and kind of like what, I forgot who said it, I think Brian Cage just to get a better promotion, because he really is a good wrestler. I don't know, pour more, better momentums for him or something. I really do see a lot of potential with Brian Cage as a wrestler. But yeah, both of these wrestlers, they're really... I could go either way. It didn't really matter that much one. But yeah, Hangman Adam Page is pretty good too. So I'll give you guys that.
So in the end, for this match here, we all started off losing because all of us thought for sure that Brian Cage was gonna just destroy Hangman. So originally, me, Johnny, DJF, NinjaPanda, and Jack Knives is not in this episode. We all went for Brian Cage, so we all lost because Hangman was the one who won.
I think that's why I think now I remember. I think that's why I was like shocked, like what the because I think everybody was expecting a guy, like Brian Cage size would, beat the living shit out of Adam Page. I mean, no matter how talented Adam Page is, like, just look at the size difference. Brian Cage got. Yeah, it was a not that I remember.
So the next one we have here, which is kind of, I was actually surprised this wasn't more later in the card because it's their name on the door, right? Everyone's favorite, the Young Bucks, Matt Jackson and Nick Jackson with Brandon Cutler for whatever the hell reason. Went up against John Moxley and Eddie Kingston for the tag team AEW World titles. What do you call it? The AEW World Tag Team Championship and everything. And what can I say? Like I kind of knew the Young Bucks were going to win, but I really wanted to see. I was kind of curious about a Moxley and Kingston, title run, and I don't know. Man, that match was like a blur now. But what can I say? Like they did the things, like Moxley and Kingston fucked them up, and I think one of them got cut open. I think I was distracted by the fact that one of the Young Bucks had like lighter brown flowing hair now or something like that. That kind of took me out of it a bit. Like I don't know what the hell happened there, but Moxley and Kingston got to fuck them up and everything. But then near the end they still grabbed I think it was Kingston. They still grabbed him in the fucking super kick party, and I don't know because near the end, like they really had me going. I really thought that they were gonna win, that Moxley and Kingston were gonna win. But then here we go, the super kick party, and I was like, oh fuck, okay, that's it. And it kind of sucked because it looked like the guy was taking the hits, but like if he could take them and keep going. But nah, he's still. I mean, I guess there's only so much super kick party you can take before you fucking pass out, and the Young Bucks still won the match and whatever. I'm 100% sure. Didn't the Young Bucks attack the ref or some shit, or I don't know. They were doing some heel shit. So I remember they still won, but they still won with heel bullshit. They didn't win it straight because of course now the storyline is that they're super full of themselves and super Hollywood now and all that crap. And that's another stupid thing. They're stupid, super expensive shoes or some bullshit. There was a spot where Mox and Eddie rubbed them shoes in their faces, and they did some kind of finish, like a variation of their finisher, but with the shoes involved. I kind of thought that was going to be it, and it would have been kind of like perfect, but nah. But
Let's book this angle.
Well, basically, yeah, the whole angle was that the Young Bucks are finally like too full of themselves and throwing money around and shit. And apparently, there's been things where they got like a big fancy Young Bucks vehicle, like a giant RV type thing, and Mox and Eddie busted it up and fucked it up, and they're like, we don't care, we could buy another one, like it ain't no shit. But they got these like super expensive like shoes, I guess name brand shoes and shit, and for some reason
I think they were Nikes.
Yeah, when Mox and Kingston stole their shoes, okay, now it's personal. Now you done fucked up and whatever and all that. Oh, and I gotta remember this spot, because who can forget this spot? Because they kept making fun of Moxley and calling him the guy from that other company and everything. And it's like, we're family. We've been here for different promotions left and right, but you're an outsider, man. You're that guy from that their other company or whatever. So during the match where they both like beat up Moxley and they had Moxley on his knees and everything, they did the spot that at first I didn't know what it was, but then I was like, aw, they did the Shield fist pump And then one of the Young Bucks actually did the Roman Reigns ooh thing before like they got tackled down by Moxley or whatever. They just had to rub that in his face.
I mean, it's a little surprising in a way, just not really, but I don't know. This was a tough one for me because I'm pissed at Mox for stealing my theme music. Because that was the whole thing with X. Yeah, that was the music I came out to for like the first 6 months of my career, and then like, you better put a buck or two in a gimmick infringement jar, pal, because he didn't even ask me. He just took it. So it's whatever. But I'm a little hot at him. The Bucks, we all know how much I love them guys. So I don't know. And then you got, friggin' fucking Kingston. I just can't get over this dude. Acting like all street and shit. And he's got these most perfectly tweezed and plucked eyebrows you ever seen. It kills the whole gimmick. So it is what it is. I don't know. Good, good storyline for the Bucks, I guess. But my emotional investment was not involved here for many reasons.
Yeah, like, I kind of feel in there, like, that match was just kind of there. It didn't really evoke too much emotion out of me on that one. I mean, there were a couple of cool spots here and there. But other than that, it was just kind of like a blah match. Like, I almost fell asleep halfway through it, to be honest with you.
No, that's an interesting take on it, and I like the way you put that it was just kind of there because there was a lot of hype surrounding the match, and I don't think it delivered on the hype. And I think the finish fell flat. It was just kind of like, oh, that's it, it's done, it's over. Like, I was expecting more personally, especially with the Bucks and who they were fighting, but you didn't get that climactic ending that I think all of us were really expecting. It just kind of like, oh, he took the double knees and that's that, and Mox and move on. It was just it was boring. Like it didn't live up to the hype. And I know you guys anti-Bucks, and I'm a big Bucks fan, but to me that was like almost like just a basic Dynamite type match that wasn't pay-per-view caliber, and it just sucks because there was a lot of talent in that ring and it just didn't deliver. And it is what it is. The Bucks get the win, they keep the belts and move on. I'm not really sure where this leaves Kingston and Mox moving forward. Do they keep going after the belts? Do they get another shot, or do the Bucks move on to another team? Like, it just seems so anticlimactic after so many weeks of the build-up, and it was kind of depressing to me to have to watch that and be like, wow, okay, that kind of sucked. What's next? So it is what it is. It was just kind of there, like you said.
So why couldn't the ring explode with those 4 guys in it? Too far? I don't know.
Yeah, to be honest, I mean, I agree as well. I think that this match was just there compared to all the other matches. I'm not really invested in none of these wrestlers in this match. And especially, a lot of us already feel a certain way about the Young Bucks, but in my opinion, I think just them being a heel actually made it worse. Because at least back then, when they were quote unquote more, more like they had their fan base, it's like it makes sense. Like, okay, we may not like the Young Bucks, but it still makes sense that there's going to be a certain fan base for the Young Bucks, and they're going to root for them. But I don't know. Just them being very heelish, it just really makes it like, damn, like it just got worse.
Now, see, politely, I'll disagree on that. Politely, even though I'm not at any point a fan of the Young Bucks, I think their whole gimmick and everything about them works better as heels because it's like they know that everything they do gets on people's nerves and they lean into them. And to some degree, like, that's what you're going to do is, like, they do all the video game bullshit and the spamming finishers and, all that indie-rific stuff that gets guys like Cornette blowing blood vessels and shit. And it's like, there's a lot of chatter about them in locker rooms all over the country. On one hand, you got these guys who look at them and they're like, oh, these guys are great athletes. Look at all the cool shit they can do. But then you have a lot of guys who have a more old school mentality focused on psychology, and they're like, oh yeah, these guys are good athletes, but literally every single fucking thing they do is wrong. It's wrong for the business, and it's wrong for how you work a match. Now, some of that is subjective, so there's never going to be a consensus on that. But you can't just ignore that those conversations happen. So I think it makes sense for the Bucks to be heels, especially right now with all this cross promotion and, you know, the elites are taking over and this and that. I think it's a good spot for them to be in because they're not trying to be something they're not. They're not trying to ignore the fact that there's guys on both sides of the curtain who just hate everything they stand for. And when they're baby faces, I kind of like them less, or rather, I don't like them very much either way. But I get more annoyed when they're baby faces because it's like there's a pandering thing to them. Instead of now where it's like, yeah, we know we're the shits. We know you hate us. And we're cool with that because we're fucking rich. Like, that I can believe. I could buy that angle. I can't buy when they're, like, doing, oh, shucks kind of babyface stuff and then going out there spamming finishers like a video game. Like, I think babyface Bucks are stupid, to be 100% honest with you. Heel Bucks I can at least believe in. That seems authentic to me.
Yeah, basically they've gone to being the Bullet Club Bucks with money. That's literally what they are.
It just feels more real. Like, it feels more authentic.
Alright, so right now I'm seeing here that now there are some points on the board. I guess me and you, Johnny, we were the only ones that were rooting for Moxley and Kingston. Everyone else, despite if they were fans of or not, but it was kind of, you know, it's more who do you think's going to win, not who do you want to win. But DJF, NinjaPanda, and Jackknife all went for the Bucks, so they all get a point each because, of course, the Bucks did indeed win. And DJF, of course, is probably the only one, the only last member of the Young Bucks fan club. And, I mean, I'm sure it has nothing to do with the fact that DJF's name is on the door as well. Next to it's like Matt Jackson, Nick Jackson, DJF Jackson. Like, I'm sure that has nothing to do with his, you know, fanboyism of him. But, you know.
What do you think the J stands for? Come on, man, get with it.
Oh, God. Oh, my goodness. Okay, so anyways, yeah, they told me stories that, Mr. DJF, you're the one that helped to practice the super kicks back when there were still kids in the backyard or whatever.
Too old to help out with that now, that's for sure. Might pull something a little too hard.
Oh, man. Okay, so let me see who's, let me see here. Okay, so the next match we had was, of course, the one that's always the most difficult to predict. So that one I can't, you know, blame whoever got it wrong. But it was the big Casino Battle Royale for a shot at a future AEW World Championship. And, of course, we got, like, all these different people, members of the Dark Order, members of, what do you call it, the Monster Factory, no, the Nightmare Factory, which is like QT Marshall's little stable, and the Nightmare Family, and we've got, like, Christian Cage there. We had Benta Cero Miedo, who was, interestingly enough, like, dressed up like, I guess, like his version of the Joker. Almost like Dia de los Muertos type Joker, even though he was not the mysterious Joker person. That was kind of interesting. And Jungle Boy was there. And yeah, there's a whole bunch of different people there. It's a big, crazy-ass match. It's entertaining and stuff. I offhand can't remember any big spots. You guys can fill in the blanks here and there. But the thing I remember the most is that in the end, the mysterious Joker was actually Leo Rush. That was surprising. That was kind of cool. And what was actually surprising was that Leo Rush was taken out real quick. So I'm like, okay, so he was there and everything. And the final thing was between Christian Cage and Jungle Boy, and they were wrestling it out. And there was a lot of stuff going for Christian Cage. Apparently, there was a WWE event or something once where he was the first one in and he won it. So they were saying this would have been like the perfect homage if he was the first one in and he won this one too and everything. And yeah, it was a lot of good back and forth here and there. but the crowd was going crazy. Every time it looked like Jungle Boy was going to win, the crowd was just losing their shit, and it was obvious as all hell that, they really, really wanted Jungle Boy to win. So in the end, Jungle Boy did win. Everyone lost their fucking shit. And I remember I was reading it somewhere. I forgot if it was either in our group or on the GameFAQs message board. It talks about wrestling sometimes. Someone was saying something like, I'm surprised that they actually let Jungle Boy win because the crowd was really cheering for him. But I was thinking, oh wait, I forgot. This isn't WWE. They'll actually give them what they want. And all that. And and then of course it's a big show of respect. Christian went up to him, the whole thing where you don't know if he's gonna be like cool or it's gonna be a heel or whatever, but he shook his hand and said that, like, don't waste this chance, man. You go for it, you fucking go for it, whatever. And that was awesome. And it's been a long thing. Again, it's been a couple of days, but I wanted to give you all enough time to watch the event, of course. And I remember that I was enjoying myself throughout the match and everything. I was expecting someone bigger than Lio Rush, honestly, but it is what it is. It was a good match. It was entertaining. I lost my shit too when Jungle Boy won. I was like, holy crap! Like, it would have been okay with Christian Cage winning too, whatever. But I was like, holy fucking crap! That's amazing. It's just I don't really know if he'll actually beat Kenny Omega. He'll probably give him a good match, but at least here for this victory, like, I was losing my shit. I was like, oh crap! That's just like, damn. But anyways, I open the floor to you guys.
Yeah, I was highly surprised when Jungle Boy actually won the whole deal. It would be a tremendous push for him if he were to beat Kenny Omega. I mean, hell, it's already a tremendous push now that he's won that Rumble. But yeah, that was incredible. I wish they would have given Lio Rush more time, because he was out pretty quickly. I mean, especially, coming from Japan, learning new skill sets, things like that. I wanted to see what he could do. I wanted to see what this new Lio Rush has been up to after all this time. And they just kind of dunked him on his head in like 3 seconds flat, which, wasn't really too cool. But, I mean, much props to Jungle Boy. I was not expecting that at all.
I'll say one thing, though. Getting dunked out of the Casino Battle Royale is still better than just cheering praises for Bobby Lashley and making them bend over for the audience.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, it's weird whenever, like, they make a big point of, like, hey, look, here it is, that they're literally just there for a pop, and then nothing of consequence happens. That always kind of irks me. It's almost like, why'd you bother? But, it is what it is. We'll see if anything else comes of that, because as far as I understand it, he's still primarily New Japan, but, I'm sure we'll see more of him in the near future. As far as Jungle Boy going over, that's definitely, interesting. It's kind of funny how we've all been conditioned by so many years of watching wrestling to think, just based on how things usually go, oh, well, this is what the crowd wants to see, so obviously we're not going to see it because they want it, so that means it can't happen. It just kind of sucks that that's what's been hammered into our heads in the last many years of watching wrestling. But interesting storyline to come with this. I don't specifically myself see Jungle Boy going over Omega for the belt. It feels more like the kind of 1, 2, 3 kid push from back in the day where, they built him up to fight Brett for the belt and they had a hell of a match and it looked like he could have won it but didn't. That's kind of where I see this going, and then they'll probably, put him off somewhere else. But, nothing wrong with it specifically. There was definitely other guys that selfishly I would have liked to have seen win it more. But again, that's just selfish. It was just guys I like more than him. Again, I say this a lot, but good use of resources. Sometimes when you're in the business and you start looking at things a little bit more pragmatically and less as a fan, like that comes up. You look at who they have, how they're positioned, what they do with it, and you tend to look at things specifically like that. Like, well, that's either a good or a bad use of resources. And so that's pretty much all I can say. Good use of resources.
Yeah, the Casino Battle Royale as a whole wasn't anything to really be ultra memorable. You know, you're not going to write home about this one and be like, oh my God, you got to check this one out. It was decent. They had a lot of good talent in it. Some of it was kind of questionable, like Serpentico coming in, getting literally thrown in and then thrown right out. I guess you need bodies just like a Royal Rumble, you know, so it is what it is there. The Jungle Boy win for me was awesome. I'm a huge Jungle Boy fan. I have been since I was first introduced to him. He's one of those guys that has been over with the crowd since day one, and seeing the crowd just blow the top off, you know, the open arena, so to speak, was awesome. It was great to hear the fans just kind of lose their mind and sing along to his theme song and really show support to somebody who's kind of a quote unquote homegrown talent for AEW. He's getting TV exposure because of AEW, so he is homegrown in that sense. So for me, him beating Christian was a big shock to me, and I love the show of support afterwards. I know a lot of you guys have already mentioned, you know, it's probably not going to happen that he doesn't beat Omega. You know, given what happened later in the night, you know, can you buy Jungle Boy beating Omega? Most would say no. Why would that even happen? I think there is a possibility, thanks to a storyline that's now unfolding on AEW, and I think there's always room for shenanigans, which could always potentially lead to a win for Jungle Boy, which may unfortunately discredit the win a little bit, may not make it seem as great. But now that there is a crowd back, I think him winning the belt in front of a crowd on a Dynamite would be fantastic, and I think it would do wonders for helping put over new talent. Omega is a great guy to carry the belt, but at some point, when do you start building some newer talent, refreshing that main event scene? And I think Jungle Boy could be a great guy, even if it's just a transitional thing. I'd love to see him get the win. It would be awesome. Not who I would have picked. Just like you said, Ricky, there were personal people in there. Like I would have loved to have seen Penta win, only because of the backstory with Omega. But you know, it is what it is. It was a decent battle royale, but it was the end game. The end result was heartwarming. It was that memory that you created, and Jungle Boy getting the win was awesome.
I do gotta say one thing real quick though. At least in Jungle Boy's favor, at least he's got some buddies, man. Because I'm tired of these heels. Like in this case, Kenny Omega. He's got the Young Bucks. He's got fucking Don Callis. He's got the Good Brothers. He's got all these fuckers that are gonna come in and cheat on his behalf, and they're always facing someone like, for example, Moxley that's got no friends. Like I guess now he's got Kingston, but you know what I mean. Usually he has no one. At least in this case, if there are shenanigans, at least we know, like, we can still see Luchasaurus come out, and I guess Marco Stunt, whatever the fuck he can do, but at least he's got, like, Luchasaurus or someone watching his fucking back, so he's not, like, 100% alone. That's at least one advantage he has.
Okay, so what I thought of the match, I mean, yeah, at this point, I pretty much forgot the whole damn. Of course, there's so many wrestlers in and out of the ring. But pretty much like what you guys say, I think pretty shocking that Jungle Boy won. He wrestled one of the, you know, best they have right now at the. I mean, at the AEW. Yeah, obviously he's not going to be like the biggest wrestler. They are still pushing him, you know, be more. Yeah, it's pretty good with their Jungle Boy right now. I think that he's getting that type of promotion for quite some time. It's about time he won this match, like, you know, especially versus somebody like Christian Cage, you know. So I thought it was a really good match, and you know, the sportsmanship that they showed at the end, I mean, I think that was good and that's admirable. But yeah, I'm really interested to see what they're gonna do next with Jungle Boy. What direction they're going to take him going forward.
Just wait until the next pay-per-view when we get to see all the guys that Vince cut this week get thrown out of the Battle Royal in 2 seconds.
Oh boy!
You're gonna see a whole lot of guys running in that get thrown out. Like, oh my god, it's that guy. Oh, there he goes.
But you see that meme? Like now they're making all these fake memes. Like, you know, what's his name? You know, Braun Strowman is all elite, and this guy's all elite, and they're like, you know how sometimes they gotta change their names around. So someone literally put like Lana is all elite, but they put her name as Anal. Like Anal is all elite.
Yes, beautiful,
And And I was like, well, at least we know what she's into. God bless her soul.
What is Brown Snowman doing in the Impact Zone?
Oh my goodness. But anyways, on this match here, again, everyone went for Christian Cage except for Jack. He went for Penta El Cero Miedo, so that means that nobody won that one. So wow, it's very interesting, you know.
Well, real quick to jump on that, I wasn't part of the pregame where they did the predictions, but I will say I understand why a lot of people would have predicted Christian because, like, doesn't he kind of need something significant to do? I've heard about this about it with AEW before, but like, they sign the guys, they sign the names, they bring them in, they make a big deal, like, hey, look, we got so and so, and then they just kind of hang out.
Yeah, I know, but
sometimes they do. Like if you're like Moxley got a lot of shit to do, obviously, but oh god, remember they had what's his name, Cardona. They had fucking Zack Ryder for 5 seconds, and then he was gone, and it was like, oh yeah, the biggest thing they did with him was announce that they had him, and then nothing happened.
I know, but they've been doing a good job with
the danger of that. So I was just saying, I can understand why a lot of people would have predicted Christian win the Battle Royal because it's like, God, give him something, Jesus.
Yeah.
Well, geez,
don't let him be another one of those guys.
Yeah, but I mean, they've been doing a good job. Like the moment Cage came in, I think Scorpio Sky challenged him right off the bat to be his first opponent, and then Taz sent some of his guys after him, and I like there was a little scene where Christian got into Taz's face and kind of rubbed in his face the fact that that they're both from a different era and stuff. The only difference is that at least like Cage is actually in the ring. He can actually go, but you can't go anymore. All you can do is just send your boys or whatever. So that was kind of cool. And now Christian Cage, he had this big match here, which was perfect because what better way to do the whole outwork everyone than beating everyone in the Casino Royale. And now we had a tag match with Jungle Boy. So I mean, they've been using him. He's not. I mean, so far he's not. They're not doing the Matt Cardona thing on him. Thank God. He's been every week. He's been there every week.
I could see why he would have been everybody's pick.
Yeah. But yeah, I swear, Matt Cardona only had like one. I think he had one solo match and then one tag match with Cody, and then that was it. Like you said, that was it.
Like signing him was the biggest thing they ever did with him.